Hello, Leo. How's everybody doing? It's really great to see you, and I can't wait to dig into all the messages that have been coming through this morning. It's been a busy time as I was connecting with my guides and with all the intuition, and some really beautiful messages as well. So Apollo decided to grace us with a quick hello here at the beginning. First of all, I'd like to just welcome everybody if you're brand new. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and we'll be looking at the sign of Leo for the month of October 2020. And the way that I create this is that you can use it for your sun, your rising, and your moon. If you happen to know other aspects of your chart like Venus, you can also use it for that. And you can cross-watch, or you can watch on behalf of someone else. Let me put this lovely being down and we're gonna get started, okay? So if it's your first time here, I just wanna welcome you. And if you're one of my return viewers or longtime viewers, it's so good to see you. You guys make it all worthwhile, and it's my honor to be here. So what we'll be looking at, like I said, today is the month of October. I really like to try to give us a little bit of time in advance so that we can plan. I'm a big proponent of free will. I think that this is a blueprint. You have all the choices, and I'm just trying to kind of let you see paths of maybe least resistance or most opportunity. There are four major areas that I focus on, or four ways that I kind of organize this reading. The first part is a psychic download. And every night before a reading, I set the intention to receive messages. So I receive some of these messages through dream. I receive others through meditation and free writing right before I get started. And we'll talk about that. So clairvoyant download first, I call that the channeled message. It's really channeled messages. After that, we'll use the cards to see what additional insights are coming through. And in that Celtic cross, I just allow whatever needs to show up. And then I focus on health, wealth, love, and destiny in the expanded forecast, which follows it. And then after that, I like to do a quick review, and we go into the soul path, which allows us to take maybe one or two of the big ideas and drill a little bit deeper. And that sets you up for success for the next part of the year, not just for the next 30 days or so. And then after that, we do a little bit of integration through the form of a guided meditation, which is organic and unique to each sign, and a singing bowl, a sound bath for you. So we've got a lot in store. Let's get straight to it. Before I do get into the channeled messages, I like to again acknowledge my moderators, Ryan and Maria. They're here to help keep things organized and answer any sort of high-level questions that you guys have. So please treat them with respect, and know that they're here to support you. And I also like to just let you know how I use Super Chat. Several readers online will take questions. Because a lot of what I do is channeled, that takes me out of it to sit there and read the whole time. So Super Chat takes on a different function here. I'm using a deck that I think I used maybe for the second sign that I read for this month, but it's called Tarot of the Divine. It's on my website. And I use this with the contributions that you guys gave me. So every couple of months, I update something and add a new deck. So if you want to be a part of that, you can use this little Super Chat icon. For those of you that have green text, you already are supporters. Same thing with those of you on Patreon, and I thank you for that. But yes, basically, if you want to send me an emoji, a unicorn, just say thank you. You can use that little icon next to chat, and that's how it works. And that's what it goes towards. All right, let's get into the messages, yeah? All right, so through dreams last night and the night before, one of the things that was coming through was the idea of transparency, illusion, and it was almost like a sort of superhero type thing where you would... It reminded me of the movie, kind of like The Predator. It's not a very high elevated movie, but what I saw was almost like something moving, but that you couldn't quite put your finger on. And what my guides were telling me is that for many of us, there's almost like an elephant in the room. There's something that needs to be discussed that people can perceive because it's in our thought space, it's in our minds, it's in our hearts. And it is better to bring something like that up sooner than later, because when you start to basically take power, take ownership over something like that that is making you nervous or making you afraid, then you take the power back and it starts to diminish, and you shine your light on it, and it's probably not so scary. Our fear tends to sometimes even project or create those sorts of things. It's possible to even have your own fears kind of come through in shadowy figures and things like that. So I would say this month and for the remainder of the year, because we're really kind of entering into the final quarter, what is it that's making you nervous? What is it that is making you sort of stay up at night thinking, oh, I got to take care of this, or what about this? I'd like for you in your waking hours to start to create an action plan and talk to some people about it. The reason being is shadows only have power or only grow when you ignore them or when you feed them with fear. So the way to sort of starve them or diminish them or to transform them is to put knowledge into your mind, body, and spirit. And now, as I'm doing this, I'm feeling a little bit of an activation in the solar plexus. So for some of you, it's a power struggle, and it's difficult because you may not know how to say something, and we'll talk more about that in a second. As I said, something's hiding in plain sight. It may be obvious to some. Some people may also just be perceiving it as an outline of something that should be discussed, as I was kind of seeing it in dream space. However it's coming through, just know that when you talk openly, you free yourself and you get a full understanding of what it is. You know how to kind of go after that. Now, direct and frank conversation or communication can be very effective here, but you need to contextualize it and you need to be kind. Sometimes if we just go straight to the point, it's off-putting. It may take someone to a point where they feel like they have to defend themselves. So you always want to ease into that, and then you can talk more frankly. So I think it's even important at the beginning to do a little bit of a check, and I didn't capture that in the cards here in front of me, but I would say see where the person is and see if it makes sense at that point to talk about it or if it's something that you'll discuss later. So direct communication is great. Make sure you contextualize, make sure that you empathize. I put kindness here, but it's the same thing. And then also just even tune in to see if they are ready. You never know what someone's dealing with in any given day. This sort of active listening I talked about a little bit here, and it says, sorry, there's a little piece of string on that. Listen to all opinions and extend the same courtesy you would expect. This is the hardest part, especially if we are thinking about just getting what is in our head out. Sometimes we just have a capacity to kind of want to activate. And I would say, if you can listen and then infuse energy of empathy into your words as well, including really saying it and meaning it, I hear what you're saying. That's something I care about too, or I used to think that way. Or what if we, you somehow have to echo and empathize back what they have said and let them know that you listened. And so for part of the conversations you have this month, even in the direct ones, it would be good to just let the person talk a little bit, really listen to them, and then figure out how that can help you communicate what you're trying to communicate, because now you'll have context about where they are coming from, and that's going to help it be a more effective conversation. Another thing, it's all in the same line of communication. I tend to sort of organize my cards in colors based on the messages that are coming through. So in this first column here, the last piece when we're talking about how to speak is about making sure that if you have something that isn't kind, it would be best not to say that. Directness when it comes to something that you can fix or someone that you want to talk to, that's great. If this is something that's bothering you, go straight to the person. Because otherwise, what I was picking up on is that this type of communication could backfire. It could end up going back to the source. And even if you do have to talk to that source, remember to try to figure out maybe why they did it. So back when I used to work as a manager or as an art director, as a producer, one of the things that I would ask if something wasn't going right was, walk me through your thought process. That would be kind of what I would say. There were many different things because I didn't want it to be a giveaway, but that would be one of it. I would say, oh, help me understand this. If it was a design, tell me about your process. How did you arrive at this? Why did you do this color? Why did you choose this font? In the same vein, you could do this in real life. You could say, oh, you got this done already. Okay, how did this work? And do you remember what we were talking about? Did that factor into it? Ask them questions first in a nice, non-confrontational way. Find out where they made their sort of decision. Then you can use that to course correct if you need to. Then you can remind them of certain things. And then you can also say, I assume you remember this. Is there a reason that you decided to go this route? I'm really curious. And then let them talk. This is a lot better than you messed up or you didn't do what we said or why weren't you listening? They may have a good reason. Let them talk, find out. If they just forgot, then give them a chance to fix it. Easier said than done sometimes because it can be frustrating, but there you go. Okay, so the next big line of messages that came through were about, I was feeling the solar plexus activating just a second ago. This would be about taking the wheel and steering things forward. So not being afraid sometimes, like we were just talking about delegation, it doesn't always work. There may be certain things that you decide, this is important enough that I need to do it. So take the wheel, move things forward. There's a window, the sort of gateway that you need to step through. And I would say, it's really an optimal time to try to do most of this before the mid-month retrograde period that's stepping in. So the first 2 weeks of October are great. And if you're watching it live anytime before October is fantastic for getting things started. You'd rather finish things in retrograde than to start them. And that's a prime example. So you've got time right now, and don't be afraid to champion the 1 or 2 things that you care the most about. You can still delegate other things. You may not have the power to do that, but if you do, try to sort of speak up. The other thing, speaking of staying up at night, because as I was trying to get to sleep last night for this sign, I felt a little bit of that energy of insomnia. I'm like, why is this coming through? So I thought, well, what do I do when I have insomnia? I basically will start to think about what I'm going to do about the fears that I have. So for you, I wrote down, prepare for all scenarios and then breathe a sigh of relief. The preparation in and of itself is almost like the equivalent of installing like anti-malware software on your computer. It's not going to make it fail safe, but it is going to give you that peace of mind and know that you've done everything to prepare. And then you just have to live life. So get everything prepared, get the seeds planted, get things started. Then you're going to have to release and kind of have this relief that I was talking about, because it will let you shift the focus in your head from what may happen in the sort of wrong area to what's possible. So focus instead of what could go wrong on what could go right. Use the what could go wrong for preparation, for insurance, for worst case scenario, for plan B, and then start to focus on how can I make it work. But it's good to have, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a couple of businesses. I'm always thinking through things. I'm like, oh, should I do this? What about this? Eventually I land on decisions and release it. There's only so much you can do to fail safe things. And at a certain point, you've done enough. And that's what these messages are saying. And it's more important to focus on trying to breathe life into what you're trying to create. So set some insurance in place and some fail safes, plan Bs, but then you've got to move forward. Now on to a different sort of thing. This is probably where I was feeling some of the power dynamics. So it came through in the form of a mentor. It could be a father figure. That was the first thing that came through. But then I also saw for some of you, even maybe like a female boss. Gender doesn't matter so much, even though I kind of wrote it on the cards. There's a mentor or a parent in your life right now. And I think that there's some difficulty in opening up communication with that elder, I should just say. What I perceived is that it's due to what's going on in their life. For some of them, it's an insecurity. They may be at a point in their life where it's even weird for them to have to come and talk to you or to have you talk to them about something. And the most important thing that you could do is just to hold some space and kind of like set the intention that everything's okay, that whatever they have to share is all right. And that if there is some sort of impromptu meeting, that you're just happy to talk to them. What's on your mind? Let's talk. Make it feel easier for them. And then the conversation will veer towards a more positive trajectory. So again, acknowledging that there's some potential challenges with a mentor, be it a parent or a boss, it could be male or female. I was getting a paternal energy, which shows me it's kind of like Hierophant. They're used to controlling things. It doesn't mean it has to be a guy. It just means that there's this sense of wanting law and order. And so if that is your mom or that is your female boss, that could be the case here. But sometimes I get a symbol or something like that where, again, if I tune into it, I think that my guides were just showing me the Hierophant, really, which to me is someone who likes things their way. So when they're coming to you, it's hard because they're projecting their own anxieties and fears, and they're not used to acquiescing and allowing someone else to step in. So just hold that space, okay? And be open. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing here for many of you is that you're entering into a period. We talked about this portal, this opportunity. There's some change that's coming through, but October is kind of, it's a thin, like the veil is thin. Death and transformation energy comes through in different forms. For you, I didn't necessarily like get the symbol of that kind of like death and rebirth. What I see is moving on. And so it was kind of like the Fool that was coming through energetically. And what I was seeing was decisions on what to pack, what to carry with you. So for some of you, maybe you're going to leave a job. Maybe you're walking away from a relationship. You might be walking towards either of those two things as well. Might be time for a move. There's some sort of a movement that's happening. You don't need to take everything with you. This can also be symbolic about letting go of past baggage. We were talking about some of these relationships. Maybe it's just a decision that I'm ready to walk away. But I saw movement, I saw walking, and if we ever look at the Fool card, you notice that his knapsack is small, just enough to carry on the back. So don't feel like you've got to carry the weight of the world. Share the burden, let go of things, move forward, okay? This flexibility is actually going to help you usher in abundance, because when you're not so tied to things, when you've kind of cut all of those ties, when you've released like the 10 of Wands energy and moved towards the Fool, then really cool things can start to happen. It's a birthing, basically. So that's what I got. I guess it would be more birth than rebirth or death. It's like let it go, move on, or reveal it. And that's an exciting thing. And October is very supportive for that if you want to do it. And you get a little bit of both. At the beginning, you can start something new, or you can get a lot of work done. At the end, you can let stuff go because of the retrograde being smack dab in the middle. And because we have October 31st, and like I've been talking about all the different holidays, whether it's Halloween or Day of the Dead or whatever, there's that thin veil, which also lets us connect to spirit a little bit more. It's kind of a beautiful energy, actually. So a lot can be done in this month with release in multiple forms. So just be open to that. This was cool. I got a sort of, it felt like a euphoric rush, and then I saw like a surprised face. So what my guides were showing me is that you have the capacity to take people by surprise. Use this sort of surprise element too. It could be people aren't expecting you to do something. They aren't expecting you to do it now, that they underestimated you. Whatever it is, this is advantageous because you can make a splash this month and you can be more effective or more visible. Really good for artists as well. So if you have something creative, people need it right now. There's a chance that this distraction could be a very good thing. Don't hold back. The other visuals that I was getting was a combination of the star and the world, which is reveal and which is distribute or disseminate. And so this is your chance to sort of step up, stand out, speak up. And again, it might surprise people, but it seems like it's something that resonates with the whole. The other thing that I'm seeing here is that this is going to be your chance to kind of like fly or soar. Rapid changes can happen once you get into this energy. So we talked about the Fool, we talked about the star, we talked about the world. Release, reveal, expand, explore, distribute. It's really what those three things are about. And this whole line of messages is about. So my question to you is I've been kind of posing this to many signs, but are you ready? What's holding you back? What are your fears? Because I felt a little bit of fear, felt a little bit of like butterflies or knots in my stomach. So whatever that is, kind of work through it and move to the next zone. Now, I've been out of school for a while, but this next visual kind of made me laugh a little bit. But I saw myself being at school, falling asleep, and the teacher catching me. And so what I intuited from this visual, for some of you, it could be literal. You're working so hard. Maybe you might be a non-traditional student, or you might be going back to school. So you have a day job, you might have a family. By the time you get to school, you're exhausted. Do what you can in that situation to try to sneak in some sleep, because you're doing it all for school too. So you need to honor that. For those of you where you're just either maybe staying up late watching Netflix, or you are working maybe a couple jobs because it's hard times, the economy isn't what it used to be, we need extra money to just buy groceries, eggs are expensive, etc. Try to know your limits and not push it. I think when I was talking to Cancer, I mentioned this too. A rested mind is a powerful mind. And sometimes we push ourselves beyond what's practical or what's productive. So when you're starting to feel like you need to, have a late night snack, an energy drink, coffee, or whatever, put it aside and think, what if I just grabbed a couple hours of sleep and woke up early? I tend to get up really early before these readings. I try to get up sometime between like 5:30 to 6:30 so that I can write all this stuff out. It takes time to do it. I'd rather do it in the morning than in the evening. I'd rather do these readings in the morning than the evening because my mind is fresh. If I did these at 11 o'clock or 2 in the morning, I don't know what I'd be saying. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be this though, and it wouldn't be sensical. It would be nonsensical. So know your limits, observe them. If you're tired and need to take a break, take it. You don't want to fall asleep at school, at work, behind the wheel. I talked about this in another sign, or at another point when people expect you. Maybe you made a commitment and you're so tired that you fall asleep in your chair. I just got a sense of exhaustion. We need to get your vitality in the right space. We need to get the mind clear and the body strong. So sometimes less is more when it comes to studying and working, and pushing back a little bit with those bosses. We were talking about standing up, finding a way to contextualize it. You could just say, we're in COVID-19 right now. I need to stay healthy. I need rest and we need help. And this is all I can physically do. So setting the limits is important, and you can use what's going on in the world as a valid reason you've got to stay strong, okay? Most of what I see here is really good. Again, finding your voice, speaking up, taking the wheel, holding space for people. As we talked about, some people want to come to you, getting ready for the changes in front of you, and then just having some limits here, and then hopefully using that energy to surprise, to move things forward, because there's some big stuff in store for you, and I want you to be able to accomplish that, okay? Let's go ahead now, and we're going to move into the Celtic cross. I need just a moment here to get everything stacked up since there's a lot of messages. If you just joined, welcome. You joined at a great time. If you missed any of this, don't worry, because I do a mini review right before I get into the final portion. So again, you'll have plenty of time to connect with everything that we talked about. As I start to read the cards, I like to remain quiet just so that I can focus on all of the card placements and the messages that come through as a result. I did put this on my website. It's a new deck that I used earlier this month. I'm going to use it a couple times. It's called Tarot of the Divine, and it uses a bunch of fairy tales and folklore and myths. It's a beautiful deck. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you, because you made it possible. All of you that have given contributions as super chats or channel members. All right, everybody, thank you so much for allowing me to get everything set up here. Let's talk about what's coming through. Okay, so the first card that we have is about your inner beauty, your inner strength here. And for some of you, acknowledging and really embracing that that beauty and that feeling that you can sort of come through and become more than you think you are is important. When we look at this bird here, it's not beautiful necessarily, but that's because it's young. That's because it's developing. And something that initially may not look beautiful ends up evolving into something there. And this is really saying go beyond the surface. And also realize that sometimes what you see is a projection out and others will see it. So if you believe you're beautiful, other people see you as being confident, as being grounded. So this is really saying look and see what others see, or see what your soul truly is. It's not this. This is the illusion here. And there's this beautiful light coming from within here. So we're all in a form of transformation and evolution. And especially so in October, this is going to be a month of revealing and changing and transforming. So try to find the beauty in the breakdown. There was reminds me of a song by Frou Frou, Imogen Heap. She's a great artist, British. But there is sometimes beauty as we break down, as we start to emerge and change. And I feel like a lot of us are coming out of that egg in October, and something new will come forth if you're willing to go through the portal, go through that little bit of a physical breakthrough, breakdown, etc., and see what's underneath the surface, see what's in the foundations. So give yourself time, give yourself space. October's a growing month, so don't judge yourself too harshly. Ultimately, that's what that card is saying. Patience. We have the Hanged Man in reverse here in the center, and unusually sort of illustrated here as, I think it's Sleeping Beauty. But what we want to see here is that sometimes this is where I was talking about taking action. So we've all evolved past that idea of waiting for your prince or princess to come, right? We don't need to wait for someone else. It's important right now to take the action. And so in this particular case, I agree, Hanged Man reverse. The time is now. It's time to start moving. You don't need to wait for someone else. And this is about taking that first step forward. So think of the Fool that I was talking about. There's always a calculated risk involved with that. And so we have the Devil right on top of the Hanged Man. So the question is, are you waiting too long? When do you make that move? You know, what I said that was important earlier was to kind of look at going through the worst case scenarios and practically sort of thinking, what can I do? At a certain point, fear is holding you back. This particular Devil card is, it's almost like it's coming through prison bars, or kind of like these blocks. So I believe that fear is creating a prison, which is putting you in stasis for some of you. And really what's important is to have the faith and the feeling like I have the power to move forward. This is also a snake. A snake is power. Fear is stealing your power. So for those of you that are afraid to move forward, don't be. You just have to get prepared. You have to ask some questions. You get some good support. Move. We all make a mistake. We stumble a little bit. You keep moving. And that's how it works. And eventually your momentum will start to carry you forward. It's the first few steps that are the toughest and the scariest. Now, with devils, if there's any contracts that are going through, this is where it's okay to pause and get clarity. So we could put those two together and say, take a moment, take a pause, ask questions, get the clarity you need. Don't agree to anything that doesn't feel good. And this is the elephant in the room. This is the transparent thing that needs to be talked about. And what's your crowning card? It's the Queen of Swords. She's one of the most outspoken advocate cards you could get. She's upright, which is telling me that she's balanced, she's capable of doing this, and it's important to speak up. So this was the direct but gentle sort of energy. And there is a difference between going straight in for the jugular or kind of setting the stage and saying, no, I'm not going to accept no for an answer, but let's talk about how we can make this work. So you're going to find that happy medium so that you're strong, you're supportive, you're empathic, but you're also not going to back down. And you're going to get the answers that you need, and you're going to make sure that if there's a contract that it suits you, it's your right to do so. This is a chance to make and break cycles. We have the Eight of Cups here. It's in the deep past. It was in reverse. Perfect card to summarize some of the energy that's intrinsic to retrograde. This is a chance for you. If something didn't work, go back and fix it. If there's someone that you want to reconnect with, you have a perfect opportunity to do so. If you want to make something stick, like something, and have sort of the, Eight of Cups and Eight of Wands often work in concert. So if you want to have something be appealing and then have like returns for it, so for business especially, if you have a good or service or some sort of an idea, that's a good card to have in your foundation because that means people want more. So for those of you that might do something really cool, maybe you're a musician and you've released an EP, this means they're going to want the full LP. Where's the album? I want the whole thing. So be ready for that next step and anticipate more. So I'm seeing the capacity for something to grow. Be ready to say what's next. Okay, so that's a good problem to have. For the rest of you, you could also be trying to break an addiction or something you don't like, because this is about being stuck. This is about having something keep you there when you shouldn't. And when you look at this, this is making or breaking that cycle. So you can break it. You just have to make the decision that I want to do it, that you want to do it. All right, looking in the recent past, we have the King of Pentacles in reverse. I believe it almost came in a very similar position before. So we've seen this this guy before. This is kind of showing you that you're carrying the weight of the world on your back. For some of you, it's time to stop carrying that heavy load. And this could symbolize a few different things. For some of you, that could be, again, a lack of work-life balance. Some of you might also be trying to take on too much or take in too much, energetically, empathically, even with food, whatever it is. This is a time to sort of like push back a little bit and have more discernment, more balance. The reversal of that card also shows that many of you are maybe at a point where you need to give back to yourself. So you've done enough sort of nurturing and supporting, and now it's time to refill the battery and get yourself back into a nice even state. So something's a little off kilter with your resources this month. So if you're giving too much, give a little less. If you're needing to invest in yourself, do so. If you, again, and if you're just feeling like you're overdoing any certain thing, whether it's working, eating, etc., fill in the blank, this is your chance to be more balanced and discerning. Queen of Swords, speak up, speak out, use your voice. For those of you that are in marketing or creative arts, or it really doesn't matter what, your words and your voice and your thoughts resonate this month. And the Queen of Swords is upright, and there's really no cautionary note with this. Be bold, be strong. She's in your crowning position. So we've got a queen in the crowning position. It's a very strong card, and it's all about communication. Just watch what you're saying too. As I said earlier, even if you're not in a position where you're a key communicator, know this, your words matter, and your words kind of ricochet and get around. So this is where you don't want to underestimate the power, the strength, or the reach of what you have to say, okay? But if you've ever considered doing something with your words, this is a good time. Curriculum, public speaking, litigation, anything where you want to get a point of view out there, writing, I think I said that, all of that stuff matters. A lot is coming through with accountability, transparency, and talking about things. So we have the Seven of Swords, probably one of my favorite illustrations of the Seven of Swords, because you can see that he's trying to get away with something. You can also see the shadow of someone that's catching him, and it can also be his own sort of darker side. So what we want to look at is shadow energy, shadow integration, and keeping ourselves and others honest this month. As I said, you're probably not going to get away with something that you try to get away with, so don't. Take the other path, the higher path, and just put in the work, talk to someone if something needs to get addressed. And if you see this in your midst, whether it's like a friend, a family, a coworker, this is your chance to stop that cycle, because Eight of Cups, Devil, Seven of Swords, that's definitely a cycle of accountability, honesty, about saying what you're going to do. And hopefully now this time doing it, or someone in your life holding firm to that. If not, as I saw, even without the cards, that's the Fool energy. That's the moving on. That's the World energy. That's the moving up and kind of expanding. So it's time to move past that sort of stuff. The way to kind of turn all of these into really positive messages, the Devil is about releasing unnecessary connections. It's really, I see chains usually when I see that. So unconditional love and support, and also transparent communication. Seven of Swords, accountability. Eight of Cups, positive sort of new cycles that you're creating. those are good things. Okay. If you do this, we have a very positive 3 of Wands. And you see that there's, you're going to have to actually do a little bit of the work to get where you want to go with this 3 of Wands. We always see we see the castle in the sky, but there's always something better to reach for. Set your sights very high and don't be afraid to do a little bit of the work. If you push rather than wait, because your center card was no more waiting, right? The Hanged Man reverse, no Sleeping Beauty here. This is your chance to decide to no, I see the ships coming and I'm going to go meet them at the dock. Why am I waiting on the hill? Hello, Rider-Waite, what were you thinking? Let's get a little closer. Let's meet them halfway. It can happen a little bit faster. And it's not a bad thing to sometimes express appreciation and interest in what's happening. And that's where there's a passivity, that's a word, passive energy with the 3 of Wands, because sometimes it's just sitting there and you're waiting. And I'm a kind of busy sort of person where I want to keep working on something else. So you can get a little further. You can work on this. You don't have to be passive in this 3 of Wands. October's not really allowing it. So that's why we're saying go to the next thing, move on to the next thing. That's happening. Plus you can do something else. Why sit around and wait? So your vitality should kick in when you start to do this. We have the Strength card here. It's reversed. This is what I was talking about. Are you tired? Are you feeling a little sick, a little bit burned out? If you are, this is your chance to take care of that. This is an interesting card because we see sort of like this crocodile type energy here. Some of you might be cranky about having to do that too, or you might be trying to convince. This is in your environment. This could be a child, it could be a parent or a partner where they just don't want to listen to you. And the Strength card a lot of times is about trying to help someone do something even when they don't want to. So with this, remember that you can't change somebody. You can't change their habits. You can only sort of give them the opportunity and let them know that you're there to support them. Try not to say, I told you so. If something doesn't work out, that's not going to work. Just be supportive and then focus on you. That's a consistent message here this month is do what you can and then turn the lens back because the King of Coins is reversed. So he's saying it's important for you to continue moving forward. You've got too much to take care of. So if somebody around you can't do it, don't force it. Now, putting this in the realm of love, I don't focus solely on love, but if something comes through, I will talk about it. The Devil and the 7 of Swords are very important cards with relationships. This to me is somebody who you need to talk to about something if you feel like something's going on, or if they have been they've revealed a part of themselves and it's come out. This is the month to basically decide what you want to do. Are you going to work on it, or are you going to move on? Because sometimes those sorts of things aren't forgivable, or not maybe something that you want to invest relationship energy into. So this is usually about someone saying or trying to get away with something and it comes out anyway. There could also be someone that comes into your life where you feel an attraction, because I see 3 court cards. We have King of Coins, Queen of Swords, and Queen of Wands. So this to me reads as potentially like a love triangle. So if there's someone, or it could be a third party that's getting in between 2 friends or something like that. This month you want to be really careful. If someone comes in and they're trying to do that, just end that as soon as possible. Talk to the other person. Release that energy because it's a little complicated. So this is something that you would need to address if that comes through. Anybody that you do meet this month, be discerning, get a chance to know them, because this usually shows someone who's trying to get out of a relationship. The Devil and the 7 of Swords could be someone who hasn't wrapped up everything with their past partner. Maybe they're married and they haven't gotten divorced. Maybe they're still seeing their partner. Maybe they're not looking for what you're looking for. So tread lightly with new relationships. It doesn't mean that you can't effectively get into one. It just means that you might have some surprises. And we're in a retrograde period, like I said, mid-month. So easy does it with that. But that's what I'm saying. Okay, so the other thing here with the Strength card, I mean, this is normally you too. So we want you to be your strongest and come through. Don't let anybody take your power, okay? You want to be the person here that is owning things, and that's you taking the wheel back, okay? There's a lot to get done this month. We have the 5 of Wands. Nobody loves this card, but one thing that I like to kind of remind people is there is a group there, and if you can get that group working together, then it gives way to the Six of Wands, which is success, support, and acclaim. So you're pretty close to that. And we got the Three of Wands in your heart and your soul and your ego. So I believe you can do it. It's not about competition. It's about cooperation. And if you can find a way to do that, it's going to be good. And you don't have to do it all yourself. You can work with others. So there's a lot of work. Lean on everyone around you, and you'll be okay. And we have the ultimate boss card here at the end. I like the Queen of Wands even a little bit more than the King of Wands because she has the ability to create abundance. Sometimes the king is managing it, but I believe the queens are all able to create, to nurture, and to sort of, there's something magical about her. This is a different illustration, but typically we see the destructive energy and the heat back here, but usually you'll see her in the desert, like I said, with a flower and a black cat on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So the black cat is the magic and the intuition, and that flower growing in the desert is her magic. We see it here too. She's kind of conjuring up Pele's energy in the background, and we see all this abundance here, even though there might be destruction here. So you're in a sort of nexus between creation and destruction this month, things falling away, new things coming in. Don't be afraid. Our lovely Queen of Wands here says, you've got this. And she's kind of dancing the dance of creation and destruction at once. And that's what we have to do sometimes. And then the Queen of Swords is saying, let's just talk about this. We can do it. You've got some really strong divine feminine energy, which is bringing things forward. You might have choices in love too. These are two compelling energies as well. Outspoken, direct, and then someone that's very demonstrative, someone that has a great mind. So both of these could be compelling choices for friendship, partnership, or love. So I think some of you might be stuck between two really good decisions, two really good options, two friendships, two relationships, and also two aspects of your personality. You may be kind of evolving into somebody else because we go back to our catalyst, this little egg card. You could have been the Queen of Swords or the King of Pentacles in the past, practical, focused more on communication. Now you want to do something on your own. You want to kind of own it. And the Queen of Wands is entrepreneurial, very entrepreneurial. She can handle anything. So that might be the next step for you. So some exciting changes and some exciting shifts with respect to energy this month. Okay. Let's go to the expanded forecast. I need a quick drink before we do that. Okay. We have a lovely message here. Just a quick note on how I read the health card. Health is multiple facets. It's your mind, it's your body, it's your spirit. And it says, I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself that I am love and miracles. I am love and miracles are natural. So if you believe anything is possible, let me hold this close because it kind of gets washed out with the light. So I am love is super important because love is the language of the universe. And when you connect with love, you are basically divinely, it's almost like you're a lightning rod. So your heart, also your lower chakras. Here's something people don't talk about. When you connect with the divine energy, every single chakra opens up. It's not just your heart, your third eye, it's all of them. Your root chakra, your sexual chakra, your solar plexus, everything opens up. Passion is a part of the divine. So when you love what you're doing, when you're connected to the second chakra and the fourth chakra, too early for math for me, then everything is going to start to be powerful. Whenever I've connected with several different ascended masters and angels, you'll get all of the chakras. If you connect to someone like Jesus or Buddha, sometimes it's the throat chakra that opens up, and it's very surprising. But when you think about it, it was their words that came through. So just know that you want all of them activated, and they all have different power centers. Miracles are possible. They're natural. If you start to believe that you can make something happen, you can. It's your disbelief that is the devil. And so how does this factor into health? If there's something that is not working out with your health, if you are recovering from an injury, if you've been given a troubling diagnosis and you go into the fear of it, of what could go wrong, again, then you start to only worry about that. I think it's important this month to think, how can I be healthier? How can I be happier? And what if I successfully get to that place? What if I surprise people by not having things happen the way they said it would? Focus on the possibility, because your mind, body, and spirit, there are some things you can't control, but I do believe you can affect how strong or how weak certain things can work their course through you. So lean into that strength. And the rest of your life, the love and the miracles is about making the changes that you want. Even though I didn't see the cards, I saw the cards with my third eye. So I see, in addition to what's here, the world, the star, and the fool, which is all about expansion and movement. So those are the invisible cards that didn't show up, but that energy is still coming through. So believe in that capacity. That's the sort of outline that I was talking about. Let's look tangibly. I mean, I talked a lot about this already. I think that if there's something that you want to do, getting healthy, stopping smoking, whatever it is, this is the chance to do it. The devil, hangman, don't wait anymore. The hangman was reversed. And then don't be afraid to talk to someone or ask for help or go to a therapist. We've got the Queen of Swords there. I think that your physical and emotional health are really, really important, and it depends on you and your management and your accountability. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Are you ready? If you're not, decide when you are and start it when you are. Don't beat yourself up if you have one or two false starts, because the Seven of Swords still walks away with something successful. It can be cutting losses. So the positive energy of the Seven of Swords is you're deciding to let something go. I don't want to do this anymore. I know exactly what I'm getting, because that looking over the shoulder can be a few things. Not today, not this time. I'm not doing this anymore. I know this story. It's like that Taylor Swift song. I don't like the ending, so I'm not going to do this again. So that's kind of what we see with this. Enough is enough. I see this pattern, and I'm not going to repeat it. You will be successful this month in what you set your mind to. We've got the Queen of Wands there. So set your sights high. And trust that you can get there. It does involve a little work on your part. Anything worth doing does. So that's really the main message that I'm seeing for you. Looking at wealth. Wealth is your self-confidence. It's your money. It's your ability to either push back or attract new opportunities in your life. So we have here, sacred self, unleash your spirit, express your gifts, dance to the sacred rhythm of life. The card was reversed, but I want to pull it close up so you can see all the beautiful imagery here. We have the Merkaba at the center as well, and this beautiful divine dove. I was talking about the throat chakra, and it's so interesting because last night I did connect with, as I said, ascended masters, and what activated the strongest was the throat. But that's what I do partly. I mean, I'm a writer and I'm a reader. So it all, even if I'm using my hands or writing things, ultimately it's my voice in multiple forms. So one of the things that sometimes I feel an activation in is here, and we're seeing a very strong indication of that here for you. So your power is in your words, and what do we have at the top but the Queen of Swords? So for wealth this month, it's really important to speak up, to speak clearly, to speak in the highest possible capacity, using words of encouragement. We can cut people down if we want to. It's not the best thing. I'm all about movies, as you know, if you watch movies and music and pop culture references, because I think it can help. It's a really bad movie, but You've Got Mail. It doesn't hold up well over time. But there's a line in there from the guy that owns the bookstore. He says, like, when you learn how to kind of do that barb, it feels good in the moment, but then you regret it. And it's a good sort of message that it's like a quick fix when you just sort of hurt somebody or say something mean. As Apollo's digging in the background, when you take a dig at someone, it's not the best thing. You almost regret it as soon as you say it. So go higher in your speech and elevate the situation. And I think that's the main message. Also, think highly of yourself, speak highly of yourself. This is about self-deprecation for some of you. If you're picking up the phone, or if you're popping in and saying hi to someone and they're like, oh, good to see you, or who is it? You could say, oh, it's just me. It's me. Don't say it's just me, or we don't eat at restaurants anymore because of coronavirus. But if you were ever going to get a table and it was for one, just say, yeah, one, please, not just one. You are an amazing person. You never want to diminish it. And you never want to say things like I've said earlier, curses only exist if you believe them. So if you sit there and say, I'm never lucky with love, I'm bad with money, good things don't happen to me, you're essentially putting this garbage on you. So let's not do that. Let's reverse it and say, I'm ready for great opportunities. I've learned a lot from the mistakes in my life. I haven't loved all of them, but they've really taught me who I am. And that's just as knowing what I'm not is just as important as knowing what I am, and I'm ready now to step into that. So step into the positive, think affirmatively, and be careful of those little tells, because people listen to that and they think, this person doesn't trust themselves. They don't like themselves. What's wrong with that? So love yourself, speak highly of yourself, speak highly of others. Otherwise, it gets around, and that's what we were seeing, okay? And yes, you don't have to apologize for everything. If there's something you can control, great. If you're empathizing, just say, I really feel what you're saying. I understand. I think I understand what you're trying to get across. You don't have to say, I'm sorry if you didn't do it. So that was a great comment. So yeah, no unnecessary apologizing, no diminishing of self through self-deprecating words, and no sort of apologizing for needing to talk to someone. I'm so sorry to bother you, but just say, do you have a moment? I have something that I really value your opinion and I think you could help with. So much more powerful, so much more assertive. So work on that this month, and I think the good things will come through for you. Otherwise, what we saw here was some of you are at a point where you need to get real with your investments and how much time and energy you're putting into things. And again, speak up, manage things on your own. There's some work to be done, but I feel like you can do it. Communication is the main message with wealth. All right, let's look at love. It says, easy does it. There's no need to hurry or force things to happen. Everything is occurring in perfect timing. It's reverse, which is kind of tying up to the hanged man. What I'm going to say for this is don't be afraid to open a dialogue if you're uncertain about where someone stands, and then let it go. I do agree at a certain point you can be like a pain, and you don't want to be a pain, but it's okay if it's a job sort of thing, or if somebody's kind of dropped the ball, to check in on that. So I'm going to check both of these cards because they're reversed. So it's saying, how do I find the balance? I don't want to wait forever either. It's okay to wait a little bit, but you don't have to wait forever. And then at a certain point, release it. And this is kind of the magic in making something happen. When you stop caring about that thing happening, it's all of a sudden your phone is ringing off the hook. So check up on it, let it go, move on to the next thing. The person or the group that is kind of like dragging you along will sense that you're working onto something else, and then they'll want you all of a sudden. So I think that's the key to success there. We only got really one big wealth card with the King of Coins in reverse. And I talked about balance and the Seven of Swords with accountability. I think really just being realistic this month is going to be important when it comes to your money. We have a lot of great nurturing cards and one that's good at creating and destroying. So you can go in and make something work if it isn't. You just have to be realistic. So we looked at health, wealth, and love. Oh, by the way, one other thing with love. With the Queen of Swords, with the Queen of Wands, again, choices abound. You don't have to, this is the one where, as we're looking in October, I think that it's important to get to know somebody, and that's really what the waiting cards were about. So you may feel this immediate connection. It could be a soul connection with someone. Let them get out of their relationship or their entanglement, or let yourself get out of your entanglement, or just get to know all of the ins and outs of these people in your life, whether it's a new love, a potential partnership, or maybe you've learned something about your existing partner. Sit with it for a little bit and see where you land on that, and then make a decision. All right, so sensitivity is your destiny card. And so destiny is a malleable card, and in this particular spread. So it's where you're headed. It's not sort of like set in stone. So with psychometry, which is the art of being able to pick up an object and actually discern things and pick up on what it is, some of you may actually be opening up with your ability to read objects, maybe even read people in a certain way. So that's exciting if that's a skill that's starting to open up. For the rest of you, sensitivity means picking up on what your environment is, so we can actually expand this to all that's around you. Is your environment supportive? Is it toxic? It's really important to do a cleansing of environment this month. And environment can also extend to people, music, television, stuff in your room. So it's really important to just kind of go through and bless the environment this month. Okay. Let's go ahead and review everything that we talked about, and then we'll get into the soul path. And I really want to help you through some of the making and breaking cycles and other things, accountability and other things that we've seen here. So we'll do that right now. Let me pull the camera down. If you just joined, you joined at a good time because you're going to get a quick download of everything. So let's go through each message. The first set of messages had to do with communication. Shadows only exist when you let them. So when you ignore them. So what you really want to do is shine your light into them, be inquisitive, use the energy that we see here with the Queen of Swords, and make things happen. Something is hiding in plain sight, as we could see here with the Devil card and the Seven of Swords. And what's really important right now is for you to talk about it. Communication is key. Direct or frank communication is amazing, but it's best used with contextualized examples and also empathy or kindness. So don't just go straight into the point. Get to know the person, get to understand what's going on, tell them why you're talking to them, and then the communication is going to be a lot better. Make sure that you're doing active listening, and also let them know what you've heard, and make sure that you've heard it the right way, because maybe there was some, you could just say, did I hear this correctly? And then wait and see what their response is. Active listening involves repeating back and making sure that you understand, and then adding to it a little bit too. Avoid speaking poorly about either an old boss or an acquaintance. It's probably going to get back to you. And we see that here with the Devil and the Seven of Swords. So either say something directly to the person, or just don't say what you want to say. There's a different way to do it. There's a better way to handle it, is what I was picking up on. All right, so take the wheel this month. If there's something that you feel passionate about, we have some cards showing pause. I think with relationships, it might make sense to take the time, but like in other aspects of your life, your ability to just sort of pick up the phone, make things happen, it's going to be really important. There's a window of opportunity, particularly between this live feed broadcast and also the midpoint of October. So really take advantage of that. Prepare for all different scenarios and then let it go. You can sometimes drive yourself crazy thinking about everything that could go wrong. Instead, focus on what's possible, because that's just as powerful and just as important as the preparation stage. When we're looking at elders, when we're looking at bosses, particularly parents, possibly a father figure, or just someone that kind of has that Hierophant energy, it could be tough to talk to them. They can even sort of be imposing for you, even if you've grown up and gotten out of that old role. Realize that a lot of the discomfort is actually a projection from their own energy field. They may have difficult time sort of talking to you or being vulnerable. Just set up a space where they can feel that it's safe to talk. We talked about that active listening and just adding a little bit of silence. It can be a great tool in situations like this. The next big thing here. Yeah, okay, it really was this. Know that we have the energy of the Fool coming through. So it's important for you to pack lightly, to start to open your mind, open your heart, knowing that this flexibility actually is going to open up abundance. There might be a need for you just to let go of something. And when you move forward, to not carry a grudge or carry all the stuff with you. The element of surprise and the capacity to surprise people is going to be really important this month. Don't hold back. Be the star, be the world, let that energy flow, because this rapid change could happen as a result. And what, we were looking at the Strength card here. If you hold back, then you're actually not allowing yourself to be truly empowered. And that's what we saw with Strength reversed. Know your limits, observe them, speak up if you need to take some time off, because you really don't want to be the person that is falling asleep at work, in class, behind the wheel, or maybe you miss a phone call or an appointment because you're so tired that you just didn't wake up. So you need to take the time now, because it'll eventually catch up and your body's just going to say, forget about it. It's my turn now. This month, as we see in the Catalyst card, we're all like this little bird coming out of the egg. Things don't look perfect on the first pass. So if you're doing something creative or if you're trying something new, you're not going to be perfect at the beginning. It's a little messy. You stumble around a little bit like a baby bird. So give yourself time before you fly. Don't rush it. You're beautiful. This is going to grow into something great. You're on the right path, but it's always messy at this very beginning stage. Action and inaction is something that you'll be kind of vacillating between, and also action and accountability. You can do this. I think the main thing here is that we see fear and frustration and all the sort of lower frequencies. They're a limiting factor, and they create the bars that are kind of like holding these things down. So accountability, honesty, active sort of approach and management is going to get through all of that, and you can do that. Make good cycles, break bad cycles, invest in yourself, pull back a little bit. You don't have to be like this turtle and carry the world on your back. Speak up. Also, hold yourself and others accountable. Let go of things, move on. You can handle this. Don't get involved in unnecessary battles as well. We see all these little arrows that he's carrying here as swords. So you don't need that. That's going to hurt you just as much as the other person. Back to my example of saying something that gives you an immediate rush. You know, it feels good in the moment, but ultimately it hurts both of you. Three of Wands, you've got it, but there's a little bit of active energy on your part. This is not a completely passive Three of Wands. You have to kind of move forward a little bit, and the ships will come in even faster, okay? Strength reverse, take care of your body. Don't feel like you've got to convince other people. Don't let them take your power either. Remember what we saw here. Your voice is super duper powerful this month, so use it. Work is necessary, but you can manage, and you can also inspire people to work around you, and you don't have to do this alone is basically what we see. There's some choices in love and relationships and partnerships, so you're going to have to balance it out. You're going to have to look at who you trust at the end of the day. It's accountability, it's transparency. There's definitely a better choice here, and your higher self should be able to reveal that. Really love yourself, love what you're doing, and that's going to bring you power that you probably didn't believe you could have. That could be the miracle factor, is that your passion is a sort of, it's a magnetic energy. I don't think we want to use viral anymore. It's a magnetic energy. The other thing when we're looking at health is really about loving yourself and deciding that you want to do something for, excuse me, for your better health, and loving yourself enough to make that change happen. Ironically, as I get to wealth, it's about your voice, and my voice just seized up there. So make sure that you use it and elevate it. Take it to the highest energy here. And the card actually says, unleash your spirit, express your gifts, dance to the sacred dance of rhythm. What's really interesting is we see the basically the entire energy of that card here with speaking up, and then, like I said, this sort of cosmic dance with Pele in the background, the goddess of fire. So creation and destruction, that's really like the volcano is the perfect sort of metaphor for that. It does both. You might have to do a little bit of both, but try to elevate your messages this month. For love, again, it's stepping between waiting and moving forward. And I believe some of you have to take that next step. By the way, notice how right over her throat, she has a dove. These are different, very different decks. One of them, I think, to look at it, I think it's a Kyle Gray one. The other one's a Doreen Virtue one, which is out of print. But both of them have the dove right over the throat, which is saying, don't get into arguments, elevate things. Speak to the highest good. And then finally, sensitivity is super important this month. You're picking up on more. I know I certainly have been over all of 2020. I feel like my third eye has, it's gone extremely wide open. And so don't be surprised if you're starting to feel that same energy of opening and awareness. That's one of the gifts of this crazy year that we're in. We're now into the soul space. We're going to look at past, present, and future influences in a few different areas. As I glance at the cards here, we see this energy of needing to kind of like come into something new. But before you can get into the little baby bird here, we have to look at Eight of Cups, the Devil, and the Seven of Swords. What is the cycle that is holding you back? What is it that needs to be dealt with so that when the middle of the month comes, you're not worrying about this in the retrograde cycle? You can focus on something else. So by the time Halloween comes around, you can enjoy just relaxing and celebrating the holiday if you celebrate it. All right, show us the cycle from the past. It's control issues here. We have the Empress card. She's reversed, but what I like about this is it's a very kind, a very nurturing energy. And I feel like some of you may have had this sort of desire, or well, you have the capacity, obviously, to help others. But sometimes it kind of can bubble over into wanting to fix things for people maybe that don't have the desire to fix it for themselves. So take that really powerful Empress energy and use it to make great things happen in your life. Wait for people to come to you so that you are giving to those who truly need it, not trying to force people to change or to see your point of view, because then that makes you difficult to work with or to live with. So either people will listen or they won't, and either you'll like that or you won't. And then that's a choice where you decide to stay together or not, in all forms of relationships. You have power. You don't have to force it on others. And if they don't want to receive it, that's a message. Silence is a form of communication, non-action, or inaction is a form of communication. And the Empress Reverse knows when to sort of care about that and when not to. The other thing, of course, I talked about parental. We're going to really just expand this past father, and I'm going to say parental healing. I felt it in my stomach. It could definitely be your mother when we're looking at the past. So what's your relationship like with the maternal energy in your life? If you have two dads, or if an aunt raised you, it could be different. Whoever you really connect with as your parent, that's what I'm tuning into. And do what you can to elevate or heal that. And maybe talk to them, because we've got all these cards with doves over the throat, which to me is talking through the highest and most unconditional form of love. That's cosmic God energy coming through. God is a universal flow. We don't have to put gender on it. It's just coming through, and it's kind. It's love. God is love. You are love. So you need to connect to that energy of love and loving someone, and healing through your heart space and through your throat space. All right. Let's take a look. By the way, if you didn't have a parental figure in your life, you are all you need. That's what this card says. You have all the power you need to make everything happen. You are lovable. You are great. If that parent was in the background driving you nuts like this figure is, ignore them. You can create your own destiny. You don't need to connect to that. You could just kind of release that energy and say, I'm ready for something higher. I've given myself all the support that I need. Okay. All right, let's focus on, I want to look at Seven of Swords, and I want to look at strength. So how can you find your strength? How can you look at what's kind of vexing you with communication as well? Okay, Page of Cups, passion. And look at what's with this Page of Cups. We have a little rabbit at the bottom. And it's kind of like looping this rope around this, around the ankle here. So what I see is a pattern of abundance coming through, again, attached to passion. And so are you ready to step into being happy? Sometimes it's easier to be unhappy, because when you complain, it gives you this feeling of, maybe like you don't have to expect positive things to happen. You're kind of protecting yourself with this wall. So I would say this month, using sort of the energy of Pele here that we see, I want you to go in there and destroy some of the fear and open up, go into the creative energy that we would see with the volcano. And now think, I'm ready for something new to fill this space. I'm going to create new, and I'm ready for love and abundance in all forms. I've been saying that a lot this month. It can be any way you want it to come through. Page of Cups doesn't have to be a person. It can be just a state of mind. But if you're ready for love, this is a good thing. Trust that the next relationship is going to be better. Ask the universe to basically stop sending teachers and start sending partners. Be accountable by also working on yourself so that you don't need the teachers. So what part of yourself do you feel like you could do a little bit of work on? Do that, and you'll attract a higher partner. If you're ready for love, love is coming in. Take your time this month, again, as we see with that. All right, let's look at the future here. And what can you do with your voice? We've got so many cards. Queen of Swords. I want to show you them one more time. We've got the Queen of Swords. She's the ultimate communicator. We have the Sacred Self here coming through with a gigantic dove across your throat. And then we also have one of my older decks here, another one here with communication, and another dove right across the throat. And not only that, but we have a bird coming through here. So there's a lot of change. There's a lot of messages coming through, new and old. So are you listening? Are you working? One of the ways that I connect with spirit, there's a reason I don't love manual writing. It's a lot of work, but when I sit here and write stuff out, it helps me formulate the message, and sometimes new things come to me. So one way you can connect with your throat is through writing. Even if you're not going to be a writer, just write it on paper, tap it in your phone. I've said this before, but a journal is not, dear diary, I went to the 7-Eleven and got a coffee. Then I saw this person. No, a diary or a journal can be like a powerful book where you put intentions. It's kind of like magic, right? And say, if there was a powerful dream, an intention, some sort of power symbol, you can kind of create your own magic in this. That's your journal. Start putting that together, and you're going to start to understand things. Have this be your journal of reflection. And imagine that it is sort of like alchemic or magical like that. That's a diary. The other one is boring. And that's not what I want to do or what you want to do. Don't write something if you're bored. Write something if you feel inspired and you've got insight. All right, back to how you can use your voice. High Priestess, it's about echoing what you create. Like what you see is what is possible. Believing is seeing, and sometimes we have to flip it around, or seeing is making it a possibility. So sometimes for you, if you could think of it this way, once you have the capacity to sort of understand, I want to do this, I have the skills to do this, I think this can happen, I see this can happen, this is going to happen. Once you kind of go through that and then you see, then it's just a matter of catching up and creating the requisite steps to connect you to that. So write it down, say it, think it, whatever it is that you're trying to create, whatever it is that you want to call into your life. Really powerful over the course of October for multiple reasons. Retrograde and the thin veil, especially towards the end of the month. Do all of it before November hits. Forget about your New Year's resolutions. You can start to put your resolutions into October and plant the seeds so that they are fertile over those, North American winter would be the opposite season in Southern Hemisphere. But no matter what, you're going to have a fruitful sort of November, December, and January if you plant the seeds right now. So this is going to help the next quarter of the year be really, really abundant for you. Your psychic energy definitely is expanding over the next few months. We have environmental awareness and psychometry coming through, and then your third eye opening up. So you have to be strong and powerful with how you formulate things in your head, because if you're not, then you're attracting in those sort of negative frequencies. All right, let's move into the meditation. We're just right on time-ish for that. So by the way, I'd like to thank everybody that's here. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do that. It doesn't cost anything, and it will help you know when I do a new video. And click the little bell if you want an email reminder of when I go live. All right, so during this meditation, I'm looking through everything. I really like the energy of fire for this, the Queen of Wands. And I want to use the energy of kind of like rising, like using the volcano to create something new, maybe to get rid of something that you don't want. So we're going to work with the energy of fire to kind of, we've done this once before, but I want to kind of imagine that you're at the forge of your soul. But this time, maybe we'll do it from within a volcano or around a volcano. We'll see where it takes us here in just a second. Please get comfortably seated. Close your eyes, relax. And I just want you to let go of whatever is going on in your head, your mind right now. Just take the first breath and tune into your body. If you're holding on to any tension or stress, allow this breath to open up everything and allow you to feel, to see, to sense with a new sort of openness that you haven't before, to basically be much more present. Nice deep breath, inhale. On the exhale, you can relax your shoulders, neck, and back. Let go. Let's imagine that we're in Hawaii. That picture was beautiful. See yourself on your favorite Hawaiian island, near one of the volcanoes, knowing that in spiritual form, you can have no harm coming to you. Imagine that your body is anchored on the beach far away from this, but spiritually, you're going to allow yourself to start to drift towards the volcano. So if you'd like to take a moment and ground your body, what you can do is create a circle in the sand and put your hands within that circle and really feel the earth beneath you. And know that it's supporting you. Know that it's keeping you safe. You can feel the sun above you as well, creating a beautiful ray of light that's holding your body right where it needs to be. If you'd like to now, you can allow that light to almost pull your light being out a little bit. Your energetic self starts to drift up like a phoenix. Allow this phoenix to be connected to your body with a string or a ribbon of light, and allow it to fly towards the volcano. And because it's a being of light and fire itself, it cannot be harmed, as it works with the energy of creation here and destruction. So imagine that you are in front of or right by the volcano, and you're able to direct the lava flow and almost kind of use it like you would if you were a potter and you're creating something, you're molding something, or a sculptor. So what in your life do you want to send this flow of energy towards to remove? What cycle do you want to break? See whatever that is and take a nice deep breath. Inhale. Just like a dragon, the phoenix can breathe fire. Breathe that fire towards the past and see in a puff of smoke that it disappears. There's no terrible death or anything. The fire's just clearing it out. And what's left now is an open space. See that this open space is facing the water, and allow now for this lava flow to go into the water. And this is how land is expanded on these big islands. So what do you want to create with this flow of fire and water and breath? You're basically using all the elements and you're creating earth in the process. You're the alchemist. Use this and imagine what it is that you want to bring into your life in the future, or what you want to see yourself become. You can imagine that you're creating a statue that's going to be the future you. So as you do this, I'm going to play the singing bowl, and I want you to sit here at your altar of creation, the creation of your future self, your future soul path, and really have fun with it and breathe as I play the singing bowl. Take a deep breath and imagine with this breath you can breathe life into your creation, whatever it is. A new version of yourself, a projection of what your future life might look like, some sort of gift to your family, your life, to humanity, whatever it is you're working on. I want you to now breathe life into it. And imagine that your spirit and your body are going to join this creation. So your body walks over towards the phoenix using the ribbon or the cord that is connecting it, and your energetic self and your spiritual self join. And if you've created a new version of yourself, you can imagine that you're walking into that as well. If you've created some sort of a scenario in the future that you want to exist in, imagine that you could walk into that, like walking through a picture, and the picture becomes reality. Take a moment to feel how good this future is, how hard you work to get there, how proud you are of the work that you basically went through, and just enjoy. You've earned this. You deserve this. This is okay. And celebrate the future success that is at your front doorstep, should you choose to embrace and do the work. Hold that in your heart. Rub your hands together. Feel the warmth, the fire, the heat, the energy of creation. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Make a promise to yourself that you're going to allow for this to happen. Have faith in yourself. Think highly of yourself. We talked about that today. The power of thoughts and words are incredible this month. Every single card that I was pulling here, it seemed like in the expanded forecast, seemed to have doves or birds or energy, a lot of them over your throat. So what you say about yourself, what you think about yourself, how you portray or project yourself to others, it's basically your ability to create your future. So let's make a good one, and let's show the best part that you have to show of yourself. And I can't wait to see what tomorrow brings. One last breath. And open your eyes if you haven't already. Welcome back, everybody. What a beautiful meditation. What a beautiful reading today for your sign. Such a pleasure and an honor to be able to be the medium and be the person that kind of was able to bring that through. I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody before we wrap up, especially those of you that were kind enough to share a super chat or super sticker. This deck of cards that I was using today was purchased with your funds, and I appreciate it, and I'll continue to do new things like that. If you want to show some support while I'm talking, you can still do this here. If you happen to be watching this on replay, instead of super sticker, super chat, what you can use is a new button called applause, and or applaud, I believe is what they title it. And there's different levels there, so feel free to use that if you'd like to. I'm going to show you a few ways that you can connect with my my different social media platforms. All of these will be listed on my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. So if you can't find them, that's where they're at. If you need to find that address, you can just click on my picture and click on About. They're all listed in my profile. So first of all, you can follow me on social media. It's super important to pay attention to my username. There was somebody on Facebook the other day that was pretending to be me, but they didn't have my username. So I'm trying to get verified. Hopefully I can get verified in the future so you can see the blue check, but that takes time. In the meantime, it's my name. It's always my name, at Nicholas Ashbaugh. So facebook.com/Nicholas Ashbaugh, Instagram.com/Nicholas Ashbaugh, YouTube.com/Nicholas Ashbaugh. Same thing with TikTok, Patreon. We see a sort of trend here. It's always my name. This person was messaging people, so ignore stuff like that. I don't message people on platforms unless you've sent me a message first. All right, so anyway, pay attention to my username. It's important. When in doubt, go to my website and click on social media, and you'll get all those contacts there. On Instagram and Facebook, I will use stories to help remind you of future dates that you can see me. On YouTube, I will post, and actually on all three of these, I will post the cards that you saw here, usually within 12 hours or so. It takes me a little bit of time to get all of that, so be patient. And Patreon is another way that you can support me, just like YouTube. There's a join button here. Everybody with green text is a supporter, a monthly supporter. So if you want to join, please do. You can also do it on Patreon. And you can always stop and start those as needed. And that's a cool thing with that. The only social media platform that's slightly different username is Twitter, @Ashbaugh. PayPal is another option. You can get that from my main website, paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. I will never ask for it in an IM or a chat. You'll have to go through my website. It's always your choice. If you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do that now. And thank you so much. What a beautiful reading today. I want to end with this card. I think it's kind of your soul card for today and for the month ahead. Your voice is powerful. Your thoughts are powerful. The way you project yourself and communicate yourself to others is also powerful. So don't underestimate yourself. Much love and light to everyone. Thanks again to Ryan and Maria, and for everybody that showed up and stuck around today. I appreciate you. I wish you the best. Have a great October, and I'll be back again on Monday. You can see the schedule on my website. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great one.